Are you tired of your so-called tribal chief and these terrible takes?
We are live in the worldwide. We are not live in the worldwide sports. Excuse me. We are live in.
After I graduated college, in the process of looking for work, I said to myself, "Wait a minute! I learned everything that ESPN."
Are you tired of this no ifs in sports?
Not just put a show.
I'm sick and tired of people. Anytime there's an if, it's hit the streets. Oh, pull up Carl Coulange's picture, but then you're gonna tell me I'm wrong? Get out of here.
If you are, come with
Who are
me
your top four
and
centers
burn
in
the
NBA
shirt.
history all time?
Rock with
Damn, you're putting me
the
on the
future
spot.
of the sports
Absolutely.
fitness.
I know we said no honorary mentions, but the one honorary mention I'm going to give is to Wilt Chamberlain.
The preceding announcement
He's a two-time
has been
NBA
paid for
champion,
by the
one-time
New World
Finals
Order.
MVP, 4-time MVP, 13-time All-Star.
Travis, who's now flipping to Patrick Mahomes' argument.
Oh man,
Travis,
don't do that, man.
Yeah, I gotta call you out.
Gentlemen, welcome. Oh, I said, ladies and gentlemen, everyone, welcome to Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Hit List. I hope you liked that little intro clip. It was, as you know, there's a bit of a feud going on. I would say between Greg, I'm not gonna say Smoke and Mirrors, but between Greg and the main show and Carl Coulange. So I'm entertaining it. that was a pretty great hype clip. I'm waiting for Greg to come back in with his video.
It says the host won't let him start. Is Carl behind us?
Boom.
Oh, right.
There we go. Carl is sabotaging me from afar.
I mean, just maybe. But welcome, gentlemen. It's our Friday edition of Smoke and Mirrors. How y'all doing? How's the week been?
Week's been straight. I'm happy it's Friday.
Same. I'm on the same page there. Greg, Declan, what about you?
Hey man, the week's been pretty good. I guess it kind of went fast. This rainy weather is really bothering me. But I do have one little piece of information I'd like to share, a little celebration. Our boy Chris Williamson became the first Black man to host Baseball Night in New York on SNY. That was on Wednesday.
Yes.
Nice.
I did see that post on Instagram. I liked it. It's congratulations to Chris, man. That is it's a milestone.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's taken this long for something like that to happen, but I'm happy that it was him and he was able to achieve that in his career.
Absolutely.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So our love and shout outs to Chris. That's our guy. So it's always good to see good stuff happening.
Of course, definitely. But yeah, my week's going well. It's been busy-ish, I would say. Just with things running around, things here and there. Do want to mention that my aunt celebrated her 60th on Tuesday. We actually went out to dinner with her, which was a lot of fun. So shout outs to my aunt Anne. She's a whole 60, but doesn't look it at all. But
Happy birthday.
Yes,
happy birthday.
But Greg, I know it's been tradition now to give you the floor to address some, I guess make a statement addressing Carl and the main show. And I did get to check out the live after, was it game 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever the Suns went to the finals.
Yeah. Which we're gonna cover. But I did see Carl's live. Shout out to Zig and Rick for being on it. But you had a guest appearance there. How did that go?
If you would do me a favor and let our first guest in, and I can then share with you how it went.
Wow. Is this another surprise guest?
So there's supposed to be another surprise guest, but surprise, there's no one there right now.
Okay, we'll wait.
Yeah, just have to give it a few seconds.
No problem.
Minutes.
But essentially what happened was, I'll tell you what happened. Carl started spouting off at the mouth, though he was KD in game 5, when in reality, he was John Starks in game 7 of the 94 finals, shooting like 2 for 18 from the field. He just kept putting his foot in his mouth. And he thought by inviting me and Ray Jarvis on that he was somehow going to have this gotcha moment. And it ended up being a kind of pie in your face moment, because the truth of the matter is Carl is just not that good at this whole debate thing. He tries. Valiant effort. He tried, but he's just not that good. You know, he gets an A for effort.
So does that mean we know who the surprise guest might be? Are we teasing it?
It's possible. It's possible. So when they get here, feel free to let them in. So did you get a chance to see the post game deck?
I wasn't able to check it out because I was out, but I'd like to hear it especially for the fans who weren't able to see all of it.
Yeah, I believe myself and Ray Jarvis came in around the 32-minute mark.
Was Rick on this one, or was this?
Yes, Rick was on.
I did see. I saw like the first part of it. Yeah. Okay. I saw.
Yeah, we were on the latter half of it.
Gotcha. So I saw the former. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see both. But yeah. Although we love Rick and Nick, so it was nice to see them. But yeah.
So I want to say the first surprise guest has arrived.
He has arrived.
They're in the green room. I'm gonna let them in. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, our surprise guest.
That is not who I thought it was.
I wasn't expecting it either.
Oh man, look at this.
Got Coach himself.
Looks like he's in a science lab.
Yo,
what's going on, Coach?
What's going on, man? I'm at practice right now in Jersey. I got my young kids out here.
Thanks for making time for us.
Getting ready for Peach Jam. We about to go down there to Atlanta next week.
Oh, nice.
Nice. You gotta let us know how you might have to do a vlog from Peach Jam, put somebody on the camera on the side, and go live for the group.
We got some good players. We got I think the number 2 player in the class of 2024. Remember the name, Nasir Cunningham.
Remember the name. Putting that on
that name.
Hopefully he doesn't get drafted by the Rockets if they're still in the lottery.
they might be 5-year lottery process. What's good, fellas? What's going on?
Nothing much. So Womack, we, as you know, there's this kind of standing feud last couple of weeks between myself and the main show because my co-host like to distance himself, so I'm gonna put myself on an island there, and myself and Ray Jarvis jumped on the Game 6 post game and promptly made a D Wade LeBron poster out of Carl, and I wanted to know, what is your take on the quote unquote no ifs in sports?
Listen, it's funny. I love it with Carl because I love the shirt. And when it's like one of those things when it benefits your argument, you want to ride with it because it's a game changer. Like if you say no ifs, nobody can say anything after that. So it's like a trump card. But we got to be honest with ourselves. There are ifs. There's a bunch of ifs. We always say ifs. That's what made ESPN the billion-dollar corporation it is. It's ifs. Let's think about what these shows are. The billion-dollar industry. Excuse me, I got you. The billion-dollar industry that we have in terms of all sports media is based on ifs. It's based on ifs. We got guys who talk on 10-10 wins, ESPN radio. We got ESPN News. It's all about Monday morning quarterback. What if you did this? What if you did that? What if you did this? So you can't, if you're in the media, you can't decide to just say no ifs now because now you want to make sure it's no ifs. That's what your whole job is. The job is an if. You know what I mean? So there are ifs in sports. It's what keeps us entertained. It's what keeps us talking. Injuries have played a role in a lot of different championships and different runs. We talked about it before. With the Celtics, I forget the guy who they were supposed to draft who died from cocaine.
Reggie Lewis, I think.
Reggie Lewis. Like if he plays with Larry Bird and those Celtics, does Jordan run happen? If Jordan doesn't go to baseball, do the Rockets ever win? If Charles Smith makes a layup, do the Knicks beat the Bulls? So you know what I mean? There's so many ifs in sports, and that's what keeps us entertained, man.
The one question I'll say is, do we think there's levels to it?
Oh, yeah.
Respectable ifs, and then there's like,
levels.
all right, now you're over the top with it.
Yeah, all ifs aren't created equal. That's what you should say. All ifs aren't created equal.
That's a fact.
So like when you got a Kyrie Irving, and I'm a Knicks fan, so it's not like I was rooting. I wanted the Nets to do good because I got some friends over there, but I wasn't actively rooting for the Nets, just to be honest, because I'm a Knicks fan. But when Kyrie Irving goes out and James Harden is at 60, 55, 60%.
One good leg.
Yeah, that's a different series, period. And if anybody says anything else about that, it's no, if you're a fool for saying that, because we know if these guys are healthy. And I know
that.
If these guys are healthy. No, when we make these matchups, nobody starts. This is how you catch them right here. When we do our pre-series conversations, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone's healthy. No one says, what's your prediction if 2 star players are out? They don't say that. They never say that. They say, what's your prediction based on all players playing? Everyone who's healthy playing. So if you get into a series, and then this is mid-series, mind you. This is not before the series. This is mid-series. It changes the whole trajectory of what's going to happen with those seasons. Anthony Davis. I know we love to hate on the Lakers, but it's the truth. That's just what it boils down to, man.
I just need to fact check and interrupt us quick. I threw out Reggie Lewis. He was a player for the Celtics that died 6 years into his career. The guy you're referring to was Len Bias.
Len Bias.
He was second overall, and I think he had like a heart attack from I forget what substance abuse. I want to say it was cocaine.
No problem.
You're right.
So I do want to interrupt here just for a second because we had and just lost. We had our other special guest that was here. They just bounced out, so we're gonna wait for them to come back.
All right.
So who I thought it was.
I just want to say that, Carl, I hope you're watching, because it's not just me. It's not just Jarv. We have the most respected basketball mind in the group telling you that you should burn the shirt.
but you know what? The shirt is entertaining though. So we gotta
absolutely, very much.
We gotta call. It's a good conversation ender. Like, we don't play the if game, but we do play the if game. Now we always do. We whoever doesn't play the if game is lying to you. They just change the words. They won't put if. They'll put a different word in there, and then they'll just act like that.
Yeah. Had this happened.
All right.
Like didn't Carl. Well, hold on. Didn't Carl say he didn't say what if, but he always said Jaylen Brown is out. Like that's a what if right there. If you lost and then you say we were missing Jaylen Brown, it could have been different. You don't say if, you say it could have been different. That's an if. So
true. I want to introduce Greg's partner in crime. I guess now it's the three of y'all. Y'all all in it together against Carl, the man himself, Jarv.
I knew it. I knew it.
Hey, Jarv.
Hey, Jarv is here, boy. Now it's a whole coalition you guys got.
All right, bro. Here we go.
Sir,
we're good to go.
Welcome. All right. Welcome to the bashing.
Oh yeah, I'm here. Have to get my background right.
Yeah, we had already let the people know that Carl got his John Starks on in Game 7 of the '94 series after Game 6 of the finals.
You gotta bring anything car related in basketball is always gonna be a little shaky. You know what I mean?
But Jarv, thank you for coming on the show. I want to give you your chance to speak to the no ifs. I mean, you've done it a few times now. You've been on the show. You were just on the main show, the post game, and you said your piece. But the people at Smoke and Mirrors, they haven't really heard you go off and make the statements that you need to make about the what ifs and just to speak to what took place on the live from your perspective, of course.
No, I just don't understand why people subscribe to that theory. Like I think there's a lot of poor framing when we talk about there's no ifs in sports. Like we could say if I played Greg one-on-one in basketball, I could say it would be nice if I won. I lost. I understand that. But there's so many different variables that go into play when it comes to this particular topic of the NBA playoffs and players missing time. Like to scoff at the idea that star players who contribute so much to the team's success missing time is not a direct result of the team losing. I don't understand why we can't say that. I really just don't get why that's an issue. Like the Lakers is an example because people are going to jump on me and say, "Oh, you're a Lakers fan. Of course you said that." If the Lakers build a roster around Anthony Davis and LeBron James being pillars, they represent about 60% of what makes the Lakers successful. If AD goes down and we lose 30% of that 60, we are now in a situation where we're handicapped. I don't understand what makes that an if. Kyrie Irving gets hurt against the Bucks, right? The Nets look like the Nets up until Kyrie gets hurt. We saw what we saw before Kyrie got hurt. We saw Game 4, how the rhythm of the offense, the way the game was being played to that point before he got hurt. James Harden is compromised. So you're asking Kevin Durant. They built that team to be based on those three guys. You lose one, you lose half of the other. Yep. Of course, the Nets aren't successful. How is this an if? This is what the thing about, we are misframing this whole idea of there's no ifs in sports. There's not a situation like that. Like, again, to reference what Israel said, again, I don't agree with much of anything he says. But if you have a situation where if you fight a guy and you have two hands in your fight, I beat him up 3 times. The only time he beat me was when I only had one hand. Obviously, that tells you there's enough deductive reasoning done that surmises that when they had 2 hands, I won. When the Lakers had LeBron and AD, they were controlling the series. Look at Game 4 when AD went down. The Lakers were controlling Game 4. The minute AD went down, the momentum swung. We immediately got took all the way out of the playoffs. We look at put it this way. You want to be balanced because I hate to ramble. I'm sorry, fellas. But look at the Hawks series right now. Giannis went down. They won Game 4. It was a level circumstance. But right before Giannis injured his knee, the Bucks are making that run. If you watch enough basketball, that's why I get upset and I talk to coach. Sometimes a team can be down 51 to 38 and a half. But the better team, a lot of times in playoff series, they take a few punches, but the cream rises to the crop. They make their run. They take the lead. They win the game. The Bucks came out in that second half looking like the Bucks. Immediately upon Giannis getting hurt, they lost the game. But because both teams were handicapped in Game 5, they had enough time between the shock and the events. It was an evening matchup. And what did the Bucks do? They smacked them. But if Trae Young plays that game, let's say there's Trae Young and no Giannis, I don't think they get beat by 30 in that game. Of course not. It's just a matter of your star players matter more. It's a simple math equation. If they matter 30 to 35% of your 100 and you take them out off the board, that team is handicapped. They can't win. That is not an if.
Shout out to our math teacher, Ziggy, in the comments, said the Hawks went on a 25-10 run when Giannis went down.
Immediately. How is that an if?
It's a power play right there. Hockey fans, right?
And fellas, this is what you call a smackdown.
Man. Came in here and made too much noise.
Not too much.
Call ain't watching, though. Call not watching.
Oh, no, he's going to see it, though.
He's going to see it later.
Call be in the comments if he was watching right now. Hot, seething.
I mean, hey, we did see the Sports Hit List page comment and then it was crickets like after that. So
that's probably Anthony.
Yeah, that's definitely Anthony.
No, I think that it's going to be hard to bounce back for Carl, for Boss Man, from this one. It's just even on the live, right, at the post game, the argument really wasn't there. It wasn't that strong. And I'm just being objective, right? This is an outside person. Right? I'm not on anyone's side. I'm just the host of this show. But objectively speaking, Carl, the argument's weak, bro. Like I need you to come with some more facts, because here you got Coach, you got Jarv, you got Greg. And I'm going to throw Zig in there too, because Zig said his little piece too. But they coming at you with facts, whether it's, speaking to basketball or just giving you, a really nice, what's the word? I'm over here spacing looking for the word.
And called it a filet sandwich.
That's a filet sandwich, yes. But yeah, exactly. So I just think that, Carl needs to come harder. Otherwise, this is it. I think this is the end of it. Like, this is a smackdown.
I thought you guys were having a debate today. I thought the debate was today.
Carl.
It's no debate. Yeah, it's just a slap.
It is not that. I don't think it's gonna be that.
And wait, Steph, you forgot to mention that Carl's argument was so poor it made Rick on the live flip his opinion.
Jeez,
that is true. That did happen.
That seems to happen often when Carl debates. That the person that sides with him flips sides once they realize his argument is weak. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I even said to him, we use a producer argument. If Carl isn't available and we use a C-level producer and the show is whack, is it a if Carl was there, the A producer, the show would be better? Like, it's common sense. The best usually produce the best. Yep. That's the reason why they have starting players and backups. You didn't bring the backup in to be your starter. So if the starting player who happens to be the star isn't playing, of course the team is hindered. I don't even understand why we're talking about this.
The energy you're giving me is that of the is there momentum in sports? And if that's the case, that means that Carl's on the side of Andres.
Yes, it was Andres and Anthony Mullen.
Let me make this clear.
I don't know if that's a company you want to keep, Carl.
And I'm trying to not be disrespectful when I say this, because I never played organized basketball, but I played enough in the parks. I played enough football in the parks. I understand that when you lose momentum, when things flip, it's an avalanche. You could be cooking, you could be up, whatever the score is. Once that team starts to click, you're out of there. People who don't play any kind of sports always say these random things like there's no momentum. What do you mean? Look at baseball. A bad team could go and have a big inning, right? And they'll get you out of there. We've seen so many teams in the playoffs who are not that good, like the Nationals a few years ago, had no business winning the World Series. But immediately upon getting hot, you couldn't deal with them. They looked like a team that won 108 games. Why? Because they had momentum. Look at the Hawks. The Hawks are a perfect example. Game 5 against Philly, they were dead. Dead. They let them come back. And they rolled that momentum all the way through. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's the worst take. I know I'm saying that. I'm agreeing with you. That's the worst. Okay. That's worse than the no ifs. Like no momentum in sports. Just if you really believe that, like I just really want to tell you, stop watching sports. Like this ain't
people
for
who
you.
don't play any kind of sports say things like that, even casually. They don't play. They sit.
You're right, because they never had the momentum. They never felt it. If you play any, and you don't gotta play you don't gotta play professional, like you said. You could play in the park, like. You know, I've seen so many kids playing in the park and get momentum in a game 21, you know, or 3-on-3. Like, there's definitely momentum. There's momentum in every aspect of life. There's a momentum in a rapper studio session. There's reason why some studio sessions can start at 8 p.m. and go till, 3 days later with no rest because they hit a momentum. They hit a stride and they just keep it flowing. It's like that in every aspect of life. Writers, we have writers, bloggers. You hit a momentum. You keep going. You just get to a certain level where you're on, your own time and everything is flowing. So if you say there's no momentum in sports, you just a dweeb, man. No disrespect. Disrespect.
Wow. Carl, this is the company you are keeping.
That was collateral damage. I honestly wasn't trying. I wasn't trying to hit no but that caused some strays.
Chuck Ball in the comments saying, "Didn't know this was a funeral. I would have wore black."
Yo, and I love you, and you're my brother, and you're my black brother, fighting for equality all the time. But I ain't with you on this, brother.
I just don't understand the logic, B. Like, how does a team go on a 20-5 run if there's no momentum? Look at Golden State back in 2018. The third quarters against Golden State was all momentum. It wasn't math. There was no calculators involved. Once Steph got going, and then KD got going, what could you do?
Sit back and take that beat, boy.
That's why coaches call timeouts. I mean,
to stop the momentum.
Yeah.
To stop. All right. Speaking of coaching, I got to go back to practice. Yeah.
I appreciate you for dropping in, bro. Thank you.
We don't watch the games. They love saying you don't watch the games. Do you? What are you looking at?
I want to say this is a great barrage. I didn't know who was coming on. Greg, you orchestrated this twice now. It's twice in the same week. And you're doing a good job because this was thoroughly enjoyable. And like I said, Carl, you got to come with something else because Greg bringing on special guests, we talk about momentum and putting you in the same category. People that say that the momentum doesn't exist. It's just not a good look. You're losing people on your side. Is all I'm saying. That shirt might end up burning sooner than later.
Is that a thing though? Like, is that a thing that if you win the debate or whatever this is, he has to burn the shirt?
No, but I should make it one, right? And he should have to.
I think that needs to be staged.
You should just buy one and burn it yourself.
No, it's not the same.
LeBron wasn't burning his own jersey.
Nah. Because Carl likes to claim he could get a shirt made at the drop of a dime. So if that's the case, and I mean the hitless streets, as he likes to call it, is against him, he should burn the shirt.
I mean, he could burn the shirt.
Maybe Alfred Gay could make him a shirt, his number one fan. All right, I gotta go. All
right, fellas. Thanks for dropping in.
Appreciate you, Jarv. I just want to say thank you to our special guests. You got Coach, you got Jarv. Y'all getting a great show. We just started, really. I mean, we at the 25-minute mark, but like we just started.
That's a fact.
But I mean, we were talking, basketball. I want to get back to that, and we touched on it a little bit. Actually, I'm not going to go to the Bucks and the Hawks. I want to start with the Suns versus the Clippers.
Please do.
Because as we all know, the Suns defeated the Clippers 130-103. Not even close. This is game 6, and you expect some kind of competition. That did not happen in this game by a long shot. You had a lot of emotions in the game, and I'm specifically talking about Patrick Beverley. Clown-like behavior for sure. Shoving Chris Paul in I believe it was the third quarter. And it looked like Chris Paul didn't say anything to him, just looked at him. And when he goes and shoves him, apologizes later. He has since apologized, but what does that really matter? He didn't give his team a chance to win. You had a show out, a takeover from Chris Paul dropping 41 points. in this game.
That was amazing to watch, by the way.
Amazing because this is his first berth into the finals, right? This is a man with an illustrious career. He has done so much. His stats show you why he should be a Hall of Famer. But now he has a chance to win a ring, which a lot of Chris Paul haters, a lot of CP3 haters hold against him. So he'll finally have a chance at the hardware. But the game wasn't close. And for you Paul George fans out there, I'm sorry. You don't get it done with 21 points in a do or die game.
15 shot attempts. Yikes.
You had Marcus Morris score more than you, right? And you are on the court. I understand we were just talking about ifs. You don't have Kawhi, but you got to put up a better performance than that. And that was just piss poor. So, Deck, I'm going to let you get a chance at this. What'd you think of that game? I want to know about your thoughts about Chris Paul and post game, just watching him on the court.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul was electric. Kudos to him. I mean, he shot poorly when he came back in game 3, and then he really got on it.
Yeah.
And this guy, how many points did he have? It was
41.
41.
41
8
points,
assists,
8
4
assists.
boards.
And the thing I look at for Chris Paul, no turnovers.
Yeah.
Which is just insane to be a point guard in today's NBA, playing risky basketball, putting up a 40 piece, almost getting a double with assists, and not turning the ball over once. As far as Pat Beverly goes, I think Louis Riddick commented on Instagram. He said it best. It's a scrub move. I don't know why. I know Greg talks a lot of trash about him in the post game. I'm not going to say what he calls him, but I just can't stand that guy. He's bothered me for so long, and I really like seeing him get ejected. And that whole Clippers team, ever since Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan left, I've loved to see them lose, and it's so much fun. But as far as the Suns goes, this is just great for the city.
Shout out to your sister. I know she's excited.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll bring him. Maybe I'll bring her on Monday. We'll see. But I mean, it's very happy. I'm very happy to see them in the finals. I spoke to a random guy on the street yesterday. Isn't that a great way to start a conversation? Two random guys on the street yesterday who were talking about the finals. They were like, Trae Young's injury is not is worse than they think it is. And I just responded. I was like, yo, so is Giannis. And we started talking for like 10 minutes. And what came up, I brought it up, is that if the Hawks win, and at this point, they're down 3-2. But if the Hawks ever came back and won game 6 and game 7, this would be the first final since 1990 where the league would not have the reigning MVP in the league, or the current MVP in the finals, which is kind of crazy to me. But as far as the Suns go, and I'll wrap this up quickly, I was happy to see them win. Hopefully they'll win the finals. I think they're the deepest team in the league right now of the remaining 3. So I'm excited to watch.
So I would just like to start off that Carl looked like the Clippers in game 6.
It's going to keep piling on. I see you.
Deb's birthday, guys. I mean,
nah. Shout out to Deb. Happy birthday,
Shout
Deb.
out to Deb.
But
yes.
this is not about Deb. This is just about Carl. Just
shenanigans.
But shout out to my guy, Chris Paul. I'm very happy. As you know, I'm a big CP3 fan. Been one since he's been in the NBA. And like that was Pat Beverly, of all people in the NBA, cannot act like that. Even if
not at all.
Chris Paul said something to him. Even if Chris Paul, because Chris Paul is a known agitator also, so we can't go by what
he's petty.
What the film showed us. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Paul hit a Jimmy in his face and he talked some crazy smack, and Pat Bev got in his feelings. But you are Patrick Beverly. Your whole job is to be a pest on defense, talk smack. You cannot act that manner, and nobody respects it. So Vagrant's gonna do vagrant-like things.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, if you look at the clip, right, it's like Chris Paul looks at him. It doesn't really look like he opens his mouth, and then Patrick Beverly turns around and shoves him after he walks past him. And for someone that is an agitator like Patrick Beverly, I'm sure he's said some despicable things to people.
Exactly.
So it's like to be in the position where you are the agitator, and once you're getting agitated, you react that way. It just looks poorly. You look like a chump.
Clown behavior.
And I get it. He's down. They're down big. I don't even know if they were down big by that point. Actually, I forget what the score was when he got shoved. They were. I mean, it wasn't a close game.
The most despicable thing he ever said was when he told Steph Curry that the next 5 years were his. That's Pat Beverly when he said that to Steph Curry about 3 years ago, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I gave the wrong stat. Giannis wasn't in the finals. Let me revamp that and figure out what it was.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
I'm not sure. I'll figure it out. Maybe it's a finals MVP and MVP thing, but maybe back-to-back year. I'm not even sure what it is, but I'll find out for you guys.
Yeah,
but Well, go ahead,
Like,
Steph.
I was just gonna say one thing that I thought was interesting that caught me off guard was I didn't know like Chris Paul and Lil Wayne were boys like that. Like I don't know if you saw the embrace afterwards. Like Chris Paul was real.
I needed that.
That's because Chris Paul spent a lot of his career in New Orleans.
I know that. I didn't expect, I wasn't expecting that. Like Lil Wayne came on the court and was like, that he had to like, it was a strong embrace, like best friends. Like we've been through some stuff together. I was like, all right, Lil Wayne looked a little crazy with that blonde hair, but whatever. That isn't what we're talking about.
Hold. Ziggy's in the comments talking about y'all act like y'all never swung on y'all siblings when y'all was losing though. Ziggy, you're not a Clippers fan. It's okay, bro. Blame Paul George. This is all Paul George's fault. He let Marcus Morris outscore him. He was so passive in that game. And also, all this talk about giving Ty Lue his flowers. Remember what I said last series, Steph? How I was going to hold off on it? Yes. Ty Lue did not make any adjustments to the Suns sending a double at Paul George all game. And because of it, he constantly passed out of it. He rarely attacked. And that is a major reason they lost. Ty Lue and his no adjustment have himself.
I mean, you're right. You did want to hold off on that, and I did in the series with the Mavs wanted to give him his flowers for making the adjustments because they came back, And I said flower, not flowers. He got one flower. All right, so he didn't get a whole bouquet. But with that, I want to move on to this Hawks game. We covered it a little bit at the top, but the Hawks were defeated by the Bucks, 123-112. And you saw this is a game without Giannis, without Giannis, without Trae Young. You saw really the Bucks stepping up because you have Bobby Portis at 22, Brooke Lopez at 33, Chris Middleton 26, and Drew Holiday 25. Like they all contributed offensively and they had solid games. Whereas when you're looking at the Hawks, you really had just Bogdanovic who put up 28 points, and after that it just drops off significantly. So, it's great to see the Bucks showing up and really defeating and beating the Hawks in the paint. This is a team that we haven't seen dominate like that in the paint, and they did. So, 3-2 series right now. I'm going to ask you, Greg, what do you think? Who do you have for Game 6?
I had the Bucks in 6, so I'm going to stick with that.
Yep.
That was my original prediction. Also, there was a meme floating around that Bobby Portis looks like every actor in a basketball movie.
That's so accurate.
Yeah, and I was looking at him play.
Very accurate.
He looks like he should have been in Coach Carter. I'm pretty sure.
I was just thinking Coach Carter. He might have been, honestly. He could have easily been.
But I think what the Bucks realize is two things. With Giannis not having to play iso ball, they let their bigs go to work in the paint and outmuscle Clint Capella and John Collins. Just straight up out. Brooke Lopez, for the first time, and I can't remember how long, was doing work in the paint.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis. First of all, I didn't even know Bobby Portis had that much game in him.
Don't do that. He had some standout games during the season. Bobby Portis has been
what I'm
solid.
saying is I'm talking about the bag, the gym, the fadeaway.
I got you. All the tricks in the bag.
Yeah,
I
didn't know he had that in him because he doesn't see the minutes like that.
Yeah,
but
he was efficient in the minutes he saw, though.
And that's what I'm saying. If Brooke Lopez and Bobby Portis can play that role again, I think it's going to be very hard for the Hawks to come back.
Guys, I think I figured out the stat.
Working hard at this.
Yeah,
it bothers me. I hate getting stuff wrong. It's very tough. But all right, the stat is if the Bucks don't make the finals, it'll be the first time since 1990 that neither team will have an MVP that has ever won the award.
I see.
Because Chris Paul hasn't won it, Booker hasn't won it. Not to say Booker won't win it someday. And Trae Young, same category, hasn't won it. Not say he won't win it. But if the Hawks make it, it'll be the first time since 1990 that the finals did not include an MVP.
Listen, I just want to see my guy CP3 get a ring. That's all.
He deserves it.
I didn't know I needed that, but I do. But yeah, I'd like to, Anthony Zig. I'm not talking out of my ass anymore. I cleaned it up.
Wait, if they were in the comments calling you out?
I know. I guess they're having a rough day. So,
you know what? Accountability. There's nothing wrong with that at all. All right. So we got the right stat. We got the right stat. We're on the right page. I do want to take this moment to move on to a team that wishes they were on the right page.
Don't do it.
And
don't do it, Steph. Don't do it.
I have to do it. And Deck, this is nothing against you, nothing against your fandom and your other fans, but the Yankees are what I believe the kids are calling a hot mess.
Kids say that?
I think the kids are saying that. So
They do.
as Yankee fans know, there was just a 4-game series with the Los Angeles Angels, which ended up being 3 due to a postponed game on Game 4. But the series started out, I would say it was rough for the Yankees. They ended up losing 5-3. You had Shohei Ohtani with his 26th home run. And then, I think the Yankees had about 6 hits in that game in 9 innings. So what you expect from the Yankees recently, they weren't hitting much. But Game 2 was just 180, night and day. Had 11 runs they put up with 3 home runs. Gary Sanchez went deep, Judge went deep, and Andujar went deep. Now, it wasn't that the Angels didn't have any offense. I mean, Shohei got 27 and 28 that night, which is amazing. I was at the game. It was great to see. All right.
I'm glad it happened in a blowout too, because I can live with it.
And you definitely can live with that. 11 runs, though, which is the most runs they put up this season for the Yankees, right? This is the Bronx Bombers, and you're saying 11 runs in June, it was June at that point, that they get the highest run total. Yeah. It's a surprise. Game 3 was not what people expect, and this is what I say. It was a roller coaster this weekend. So you lose Game 1, win Game 2. Game 3, Shohei's going. Every Yankee fan is hands in their heads, facing their hands, upset that Shohei's on the mound because they don't have a chance. Shohei gave up 7 earned runs in the first inning. He only went 2/3.
Smoked.
2/3. I have him in fantasy. Hurt my ERA. I don't know if I'm going to come back in ERA this week. I'm just saying. But Shohei gets bounced in 2/3 of an inning, and it's 7-2 at that point, Yankees. You got to believe that the Yankees are going to win, right? Like 7 runs after they put up 11 the night before, going to be a win. Well, the Angels got to the bullpen, and they put up 8 runs after that. Oh, actually, it was 9 runs total, and the Yankees lost. The Yankees managed to lose, but you have a Chapman who has been good for the Yankees in his career with them.
Tough lately, though. But
not to the extent you saw.
He's supposed to be one of the best in the game.
You know what? He was the best closer in the game until like early June. And then
what he did though was not Chapman. Like he walked 3 and gave up a grand slam to Jared Walsh.
Shout out to my fantasy team.
There's a lot of fatigue here. And I think that's the same thing that would happen with Ohtani. And I'm worried, and I know we're getting off a quick tangent. I'll get right back on it. But I think it's fair game to mention that, Ohtani walked the 3 guys in the first inning.
Yes.
After he hit 2 home
runs. It was a hot day.
Absolutely hot day. We saw Dylan Bundy puking his guts out the night before, or 2 nights before, on the mound for everyone to see. And Ohtani played that series, played every game in the series, was hitting bombs, came onto the mound, and he looked tired. I don't know if that has anything to do with health or fatigue. I would think it has something to do with fatigue. We haven't seen it that, these bad starts from him so far this year. But I mean, let's just look at the Yankees right now. Could you imagine this team? Let's go back to like 7:30, 7:35, or I think they started at 8, whatever it was. The whole game was.
Declan, the comments are loving your mention of fatigue. I love the hit list.
Fatigue. Anyway, but could you imagine this team puts up 11 runs a season high and then goes off for 7 runs in the first inning against Shohei Ohtani? We could be talking about, oh my God, this could be the same team that won 7 of 9 against a bunch of terrible teams a week before, and forget about the sweep for Boston, at least for now. Nope, of course not. And I think and not to make an excuse because the team was poor, but I think at a certain point, 3 rain delays and coming back when this game was already they called the game in the 5th inning. First of all, they started the game late. They called the game in the 5th inning. They called the game in the 8th inning. They're calling this game like 3 times. At some point, you have a 45 to an hour rain delay. And understand they blew the game. But it is a 7-2. It's a 7-3 game at one point, or 7-2 game, whatever it was.
Yes.
And we're sitting here for an hour and a half, just waiting for the tarp to come off the field. Call the game at some point, guys. I mean, this doesn't take away from the fact that the Yankees have been piss poor this year, and this is a team that is just trending in the wrong direction completely. But at some point, it's like these guys are up to 1 a.m. playing.
Steph, do you see the despair on his face?
I'm fatigued. Yeah. I'm fatigued just from watching these idiots play. And to watch them decide to play this game is just ridiculous. That was tiring. But as far as the product on the field itself, no excuse for how they played. I mean, this team is just, you cannot blow that lead. I don't care who you have on the mound. Chapman being in a 4-run game, I mean, there's that, especially after the rain delays. That's a stupid part on Boone. You got Chapman waiting around for 8 hours to pitch in a game that wasn't even a save situation, and he goes and walks 3 guys, and you still rock with him, and then he hits a grand slam. I mean, and then bringing in Lucas Letke after that was just,
3 more earned runs after that.
Exactly. I mean, it's the fact that they didn't even tie the game, is that the Angels went into the bottom of the 9th with a 3-run cushion. It almost wasn't a safe situation for them. That's how bad it got in the 9th. But this team is really just disappointing to watch all around.
Yeah.
What do you have to say?
in terms of the fatigue with Shohei, I don't think it's that. If you've played and pitched in New York during the summer, pitching in New York humidity is way different than pitching in Cali heat.
Yeah.
And there's you have to really understand how to breathe and understand how to control your body if you're a starting pitcher pitching in New York City when it's 95 plus. And
he was wearing long sleeves too.
Yeah. So it's not something that somebody who's never experienced it, which is why Dylan Bundy was puking, because it's not easy. You literally have to change your mindset when the heat is like that, and you have to take everything you do normally. You have to take a step back and slow everything down. Everything.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think it was fatigue. I think it was a matter of not knowing how to pitch in the humidity.
You think so? I mean, I think that's possible. I mean, even I remember being 10 years old and throwing up at Con Ed.
Because it was hot and you didn't know how to play.
The humidity is definitely different. I want to say it was a combination of that and maybe even the moment, right? Like here he is starting against the Yankees. He's at Yankee Stadium. Like this is the huge market. This everyone's going to see, and people hear about him, but everyone's going to tune in to watch Shohei throw against the Yankees after coming off of 2 big nights offensively, now having to show himself and prove himself as the ace of the staff on that night. So I think it could have been a combination of both, because as much as we like to say that they're professional athletes and that they just they're always prepared and ready, they're still human, right? And I think that moment is really big. And when you want to execute and your body's not letting you execute, you might press some. And I think I think it was a combination of both.
I think
to speak to the rain delays and all that, the Yankees weren't the only ones dealing with it. The Angels actually came back from the rain delay. So I cannot subscribe to that.
That's true.
And the Angels also have worse pitching and a worse pen than the Yankees, and yet they still got it done.
That's true. But the one thing I'll say though is if I'm down 7-2 and we're coming in a rain delay, it's almost like you're starting the game fresh. You're starting it fresh. I think it is. I think if I'm coming in the 5th inning and I haven't played in 2 hours, new guys, bullpen guys who haven't even played.
Your job is to get paid to play baseball.
Yeah, but it's.
I can see where Deck's coming from. Is that like, okay, this is a new game now because we got the delay. Like whatever momentum the Yankees had, you could remove from them. So I could see that aspect of it, starting fresh and not worrying about the score and just let's go and hit. If I'm a manager, that's how I'm approaching it, coming off the rain delay. So I get that aspect.
Yeah. Can I say one thing in regards to Ohtani wearing long sleeves? I subscribe to the notion as well. I tend to wear long sleeves when pitching in any degree weather. I've worn them all year so far for the Sun Devils.
Creature of habit.
Yes. But what I like to do, and it sounds crazy, but I actually wind up feeling great and I haven't had to deal with too much heat exhaustion, is I like to drink about 7 to 8 bottles of water the night before I know I'm going to pitch. Or if it's during the day, I like to drink it a little, maybe a couple that night and a ton during the day. And I put on the long sleeves. I go out to the mound and I feel like I'm in air conditioning for like the first 5 innings of the game. And I actually love it. It feels comfortable. And I don't know if that's what Ohtani was doing or if he was tired. I think it's got to be something to do with it. I like it. I haven't heard it too many places. I find it cool because, I think you should drink so much water anyway if you know you're going to play. But I do like the idea of having the long sleeves and condensing it. I feel like I'm in air conditioning sometimes. And when it's 90 degrees, it helps.
I cannot speak to that at all.
Yeah.
I cannot have sleeves on.
I'm giving everyone a piece of advice. I don't know. I find it nice.
I'm happy it works for you. I don't know if it worked for Shohei. That humidity was ridiculous that day.
Sounds like some ridiculous like Trevor Bauer like subscription notion.
Hey, whatever works for you.
Yeah, facts.
But we're going into this weekend and we have a Subway Series. All right.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets one. But we're looking at a Yankees team that has for a while now been very inconsistent. The Mets who have lost a few series in the last
divisional opponents.
Yes, which is always rough.
Yeah. The Mets
So-
have lost, I want to say 10 to less 16. Is that accurate? I think so.
I'm not sure offhand.
lost
I'd have to
20
look at it. If someone could fact check
I
that.
don't care about the 10 out of 16. I care about losing 3 out of 4 to Washington and
Yes.
losing 2 out of 3 to Atlanta. That's
Now they're
what
2.
matters.
So now we have Washington 2 games behind
Washington's
us.
creeping. They're doing
Yes,
the
they
same
are.
thing they did in 2019.
They are.
That
But
is-
this upcoming Subway Series, we do have starting today. We have Taijuan Walker versus Jordan Montgomery, and then Saturday is Marcus Stroman versus Garrett Cole, which is a different Garrett Cole. We'll see who shows up at the stadium. And then on Sunday, there's Tyler McGill versus we don't know yet because they haven't announced it for the Yankees.
I really like the way Tyler McGill's been pitching.
I mean, dark horse. He might be one of those. I think Gary compared him to DeGrom when he came up his
He
first
made his
year.
debut at the same age.
Yeah, same
to the
age.
day.
It's like to the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which is
I mean, fingers crossed. I would love that. That'd be amazing. That'd be a godsend for the Mets. But even if he's not and he ends up just being serviceable, what you wanted to get from Peterson, which he hasn't been last year, he was good this year. He's been very inconsistent, more bad than good. But that's the lineup for this weekend. I really like Walker versus Montgomery, to be honest with you. Like tonight, I would favor the Mets. Stroman versus Garrett Cole, even though Garrett Cole is not the same pitcher that we've seen recently, he's very hittable to me now. He's still Garrett Cole, you know. So the Mets with their offense currently, to me, isn't the same offense I'd expect to go after an ace pitcher like that and get the runs they need. So it might be a tight game. Stroman's been amazing though. I mean, Stroman is someone that I can surely see holding the Yankees, who, again, their offense hasn't been great either, holding them to a run or two. So
we could do a doubleheader this weekend with all the rain coming in.
true. Also true. Potentially, you know. But I'm definitely going to favor Taijuan Walker over Montgomery. And I'm still going to go Stroh over Cole. Greg, who you got?
I got Ty and Stroh winning. I'm sorry, Ty and McGill winning because I'm wondering if Boone goes with a bullpen day in Game 3.
He might.
Yeah.
Honestly.
All right. I got this game not even getting played tonight. How about that? I'm I'm gonna prep for a doubleheader tomorrow. So all right.
7-inning doubleheaders favor the Mets. I just want you to know that.
Definitely.
What am I going to make decisions based on?
I'm just saying.
Weather based on how the bullpen's going to work. Like
no, I'm not talking about the Pens. I'm talking about the starting pitching.
By the way, speaking of the pen, Dylan Betances is out for the rest of the year. That's
that's
talking about him on Monday about him coming back.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I like Montgomery this year. He hasn't been as bad as Tyone. I like him to be a little bit better. He's a TJ guy, so it is his first year. Not to make excuses for him. But I think that's also a fair game. If we can get 5 good innings out of him, I'll be happy. But yeah, I like the Mets tonight. I do like the Yankees tomorrow night, and I like them Sunday night just because I think that if we're talking about a team, we're going to see, I mean, this could be a 7-6, 8-7 ball game, or it could be a 3-1 ball game. I'm not sure where the Yankees go with it. I don't think King is ready for his start yet. But I don't know if they go to a bullpen, if they call someone up. Maybe Davy Garcia winds up getting a call for this game. I'd like to see that. He shut down the Mets last year. I think it would be really smart, good optics to bring him up this year.
Don't know about this year.
Hey, we'll see. I mean, hey, the Mets just put up 2 runs. Gave up 20 unanswered after the first inning. So I don't know what in this series, but you know what I'll say? New York baseball is just amazing.
Quite the enigma.
Exactly.
Yes,
so
definitely.
No matter what it is, and the MLB did a great job making it July 4th weekend, and then the 20th anniversary of 9/11 in September when they play their second 3-game set. So I'll be rooting for the Yankees hard, but I'll be so excited because there is no better. All right, I'm going to say this. There is no matchup in sports, and I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about teams. There is no matchup in sports. Football, Giants-Jets doesn't compare.
Putting it out there.
Giants rivals doesn't compare for me. Jets rivals doesn't compare. Mets rivals don't compare. Yankees Sox. I would rather watch Yankees Mets as opposed to any matchup in baseball.
I do not feel that way.
You don't feel that at all? I just love this. Dude, I love the Subway Series. It just makes me so excited.
Mean, I like the Subway Series as well. It's fun.
I like it, but I don't subscribe to it being, the best rival.
I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying it's the best.
This could be a poll question.
And I think it's just an opinion. It's not. I'm not saying Yankees Mets. It's the best. For me, growing up in New York City, it reminds me when I was a kid. I mean, I am a kid, but
It's
I'm not-
nostalgic for you, basically, is what you're saying.
I remember watching it with my grandma. Subway Series is just the most exciting thing in sports for me personal. I love it no matter what. Because I don't hate the Mets either. I don't root for them, but I like seeing the orange and blue on the screen. It's always good. You know, you flip between S and
I mean,
Y.
we do have cooler uniforms, so there's that.
I agree. Not as traditional, but I also love them a lot more. That's why I tend to play with the Mets a lot in the show. But
happy to hear that.
They should bring the black uniforms back.
I believe they
it's
are
going to happen. They don't have a date, I think, when they're going to wear them, but it's supposed to happen.
I just got to plug my computer in quickly, but I'm still involved.
Yeah, no problem.
Can't have it dying on it.
But yes, looking forward to the Subway Series this weekend. We'll see. I honestly think that Sunday's going to be a toss-up, regardless what the Yankees put out there. McGill is good, but I just don't know if he'll be able to go toe-to-toe with the Yanks. I do want to move on to something that did happen this week. That is major news and a huge shift for the NCAA, and that is the new rule that has been implemented, the interim policy. So we have, as of yesterday, the new era in NCAA sports, where the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that the NCAA cannot limit education-related payments to student athletes. They were upholding a lower court ruling against the NCAA that declared that its restrictions on certain forms of educational compensation stand in violation of antitrust laws. So with that, you're seeing a lot of athletes now that are going out there and they're getting their money immediately. As of July 1st, they were allowed to, get their endorsements. So you have some athletes who are announcing partnerships with Yoke. It's a platform that allows gamers to play with athletes, and Cameo, which allows fans to pay celebrities or athletes to record personalized messages. So there's been a lot of movement for student athletes right now who are now allowed, due to this new nil policy, their name, their names, their image, and their likeness, they can now receive money for, which in the past was frowned upon. So, Greg, I want to start with you. What do you think of this new policy? And let me just remind you, it is a stopgap. This is just interim. There's going to be more federal regulation around it, but this is just what the NCAA rolled out this week.
I'm sure federal regulations is, those at the top want to see what they can tax and things of that nature. But of course, I'm all for it. I've been a proponent of this for years now, and I'm happy it's finally happening because these institutions make billions off of these kids' backs, and what sucks is if you're not a top 1% of player that's going to get drafted into some professional sport, you suffer because you cannot, if you play Division I sports, if you have ever played Division I sports, you can't hold down a regular 9-to-5 job and, have your obligations to your team.
Yes.
So it becomes hard just to make ends meet. So being able to make money off your likeness, even if you're like, say, on a big like at UNC, but you're like the 12th man on the bench, and you could go on Cameo and make a couple dollars that'll get you by. That's great. And I just want to also shout out Master P's son, Hersey Miller, taking this and running with it immediately, signing a multi-million-dollar deal. And he's an incoming freshman. Because of this, he's now going to be able to set himself up for his future.
Yes.
Yeah, and now they don't have to play. They don't have to play the whole, does he declare because now we can get injured card.
Mm-hmm.
We can try to limit it and try to get the money in the players' pockets. But a guy I look at now, and he's in the comment section being flooded by, my boy Rick and Chuck is Reggie Bush. I mean, he's taking legal action now. I think he
is,
as he should,
and he absolutely should, because the NCAA has screwed him. The office has been completely against him. Wasn't even returning his calls, which I think is
bogus.
I mean, we all know what it is. It's just ridiculous as a whole. But give the man back his Heisman. I mean, just because he accepted
reinstate his records, all that.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had college players kill people and not see these punishment. We've had guys do domestic violence. We've had all this stuff. But Reggie Bush and taking a couple bucks just doesn't compare to it. So let's give the man his Heisman. He's not a bad guy. All right.
The NCAA has been wrong on so many fronts in terms of how they treated the Fab Five over in Michigan. Shout out to Manny and Reynald. That's their guys. Now let me ask you guys: do you go back and reinstate Reggie Bush, the Fab Five, anyone who was wronged by this antiquated practice.
Yes, 100%. I'm 100% in agreement with reinstating stats, giving back any kind of accolades, trophies. Like that is deserved, because from the onset, this practice was, like you said, antiquated. It was not something that was conducive to student athletes. Trying to levy the fact that you get an education over them these schools making millions of dollars off of the likeness, the image, and the name of these athletes is just ridiculous. It really is. It was absurd. They're crooks, and they knew they were crooks. That's why they were so staunch on not allowing athletes to make money, because if they did, they would have opened the floodgates. Once they heard about it, they sniffed it out. That's when they had to make an example of these athletes. So I am 100% in agreement with anyone that was wrong by the NCAA. Through wherever they are in their lives now, they deserve their compensation, because it was never fair. As fan base, we knew it wasn't fair, but now we have the legal system that is aligned with the rest of the fans and just people with just common decency. These kids are just that. They're kids, and they're more like indentured servants the way that they're treated. It's like, oh, you come in, you owe us because we gave you this education for free, so we'll make as much money off of you in these 4 years that you're here, and you can't make a dime off of it. So it's about time that this was changed.
I agree.
And I hate the argument, oh, they're getting a free education.
Oh, it's such
people who say that have never lived as an athlete.
I mean, Johnny Manziel was talking on a podcast a couple of weeks ago saying he had like $84 in his bank account when someone came up to him and said, hey, you want to make $3,000? And he was like, hell yeah, I want to make $3,000. But I thought Chuck asked a great question. Which athlete do you think would have made the most money? Greg said Randy Moss, AI. I think recently, especially because we've seen money in sports increase as time gone on. Yeah. I think Tim Tebow and Johnny Football would have made a ton of money off of their image. I mean, these guys are
Tebow definitely.
Tim Tebow definitely. I think he might have been one of the highest ones. He's just so marketable. People love the crap out of him. Nice guy, Christian. Was
he checks all the American boxes.
And not Texas A&M. Florida is just different.
Shout out to my Gators.
I know Greg loves the Gators. I had to throw that in there. But Florida's different. And this is also a guy who is regarded as one of, if not the greatest quarterback in college, college quarterback of all time. I mean, NCAA championships. It's just
definitely. And shout out to our Sports Hit List contributor, Ricardo Etienne. He made a great point in the comments. Said the punishments were always bullshit, always punishing the players, and the schools kept the money they made off them. Nobody cares about the trophies and records except for the players because it's all they have, which is 100% correct.
Yeah.
That the trophies, the Heismans, the records, that's their legacies. That's what they can make their bank off of.
That's why Reggie Bush is coming back and saying, like, hey, guys, like, I did
it. It was so trash that the NCAA head didn't even respond to him, and then, like, sent his number 2, was like, yeah, nothing's going to change. I expect that trash from a trash organization, basically.
And that's what they are. So that's why they did that. And I think what is important now that's changed since Reggie Bush left college was the media pressure, right? How much the story is going to grow. Reggie Bush putting out there that they didn't respond to him, right? And making it a point to put it in the media and make sure that he gives everyone updates, because Twitter is going to go crazy, right? Like, people are going to be talking about this. There's going to be a story, and the NCAA is going to feel that pressure to have to do something. In the past, you wouldn't see that. The narrative wouldn't be painted around Reggie Bush as the victim. It'd be the NCAA. And I think like that media pressure is what's needed for organizations like the NCAA to do the right thing. Because without it, what are they going to do? Stick to the status quo, and that's what they've always done. So
it's like
I'm hoping that we'll have updates for this soon.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with their on-field.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Steph. I didn't mean to, hit you at the end there, but it has nothing to do with their on-field play. It's all stuff they did. They didn't cheat on the court or on the field. They didn't, do terrible crimes. I mean, like, it's just so stupid. Like, why are you vacating their titles or their banners or their records or their awards? It's just, it's a power. It's a power move.
It's despicable.
It's gross. Absolutely, it is gross. 100%.
So, in that same vein, we had something that did pop up today that is another egregious offense in my opinion, and I believe that we all see it the same way. So, Sha'Carri Richardson, who's a track star runner that she qualified in the the prelims for the Olympics, for the Tokyo Olympics this year. Early this morning, she issued an apology because she tested positive for marijuana in her system and has been banned for at least a month. They're still deliberating over what the extent of it's going to be. But she did explain that she knew the rule, but her use of marijuana was a coping mechanism after finding out her biological mother had died. And the statement that she issued, I'm just going to give you a little excerpt here. We all have our different struggles. We all have our different things we deal with. But to put on a face and have to go out in the front of the world and put on a face and hide my pain, who are you? Who am I to tell you how to cope with when you're dealing with pain or you're dealing with a struggle and you're never experienced before and that you never thought you'd have to deal with? Who am I to tell you how to cope? Who am I to tell you you're wrong for hurting? Now, we haven't really seen an athlete come out and speak to this measure about, when it comes to marijuana, at least when it comes to this particular issue, being caught and tested positive, we haven't seen a response like this. It's usually just an apology. I'm sorry, I knew I was wrong. But here she is explaining that I use this to cope. This is my coping mechanism. And you're telling, and how am I wrong for this? Is me coping with the death of a family member. Now she's currently banned. She's going to miss the 100-meter dash, which is her event. She has the chance to make the I think it's the relay, the 4x200. I want to say meter relay. You could check me on that, but that all depends on how the NCAA is going to react to it. And I want to start, Deck. I'll start with you. What do you make of this, especially knowing that it is marijuana? This is something that you're seeing legalized in this country, but in the world, it's been criminalized more here in the U.S., whereas in the world, it's more liberal, a more liberal use of it. How do you take the Olympics going this route with Sha'Carri Richardson?
Yeah, I mean, she's over 21, right? Or
she's 21.
She's 21. So
Yeah.
is it technically, it's legal for her, right? Is it? Or
in her state, it's legal, but the problem is it's not sanctioned by the International Olympics Committee.
Right. Yes.
So we found the one organization in sports that still tests for marijuana is pretty much what we're looking at right now, because I think it's ridiculous. It's not like she's doing any hard drugs or anything, and she gave a legitimate reason as to why she was smoking. I mean, guys, it's 2021. Let's not act like she's out here doing a crime. Like she should go to jail for this, or she should get suspended for it. She's not doping. She's not using PEDs. Again, not a cheating scandal. Nothing. I mean, last time I checked, marijuana doesn't make you run faster. So, I mean, it's just so stupid. Like, to see that this girl's dreams are going to be crushed and that she's going to be taken out because her mother passed away and she decided to start smoking, or I don't know what her previous habits were, but that she decided to smoke and then they tested for it and then they're now essentially canceling her and removing her from this.
She won't be able to do her event.
And that's what's
100 meters.
special.
Yeah.
Yes. And she's a sprinter.
So that's the we have to be very careful to kind of put things on top of each other in this particular instance. And the women's 100-meter race is arguably the most anticipated race of this upcoming Olympics because of Sha'Carri Richardson and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price from Jamaica, because they are two of the fastest women in the world and people were looking forward to them running. So now Shelly-Ann becomes the odds-on favorite to win that particular event. However, we have to separate her grieving for her mother and using her coping mechanism, because that is valid. That is very valid. And she deserves to have her moment. However, at the same time, she said she knew the rules. And as antiquated as the IOC rules are, until it changes, if you want to compete in these events, you have to abide by it. And it's just, honestly, it's just a shitty place to be in life, where you're put it in between this rock and a hard place, because this organization who has these old school rules doesn't care about what happens in your life, basically, and how you cope, because that's essentially what it is. But if she knew that, maybe try to find a different outlet until after your events, at least. Yeah. And I do look at it. She's 21. She probably didn't know another coping mechanism, because when Deck, you're still young, your thoughts at 18 are not going to be your thoughts at 21. Your thoughts at 21 are not going to be your thoughts at 24.
She's not 30 years old and ready to make those ridiculous.
So I do hope she learns from this, and I don't want people to shut, like, just straight up say, oh well, she knows what the rules is, she shouldn't have did it anyway, because this is a layered thing, but don't condemn her entirely, and still try to understand where she's coming from, and also understand that the IOC is not looking at this from a
humanistic,
today's a 2021 perspective.
Yeah,
I don't think they're looking at it from a humanistic perspective either, if they're turning a blind eye on her coping mechanisms. But that's just me.
Well, I think it's more so highlighting the issues that we're seeing with these antiquated systems, right? That exist in sporting, outside of sporting, but just specifically since we're talking about sporting, in sporting, because you have those that use medical marijuana for their other ailments, and this is something that would be recommended to you by a doctor, depending on where you live. And to think that, and because I hear what you're saying about she could have found another vice, right? Something else that could for her coping mechanism. But I'm hard pressed to tell someone, oh, well, you're going through a loss, you should find a better way to grieve, and this isn't something that's, oh, it's detrimental to her health, right? Where it's like, oh, you're doing an illegal drug that will harm your body as an athlete. No, that isn't what this is at all, and so to know what the substance is, and for us to drop the hammer on her, or not even us, but for the Olympics to drop the hammer on her like that for this offense, which really shouldn't be. I know it is the rule, but this is when we start talking about and understanding that, well, why aren't we not waiting to be reactionary, but being proactive in these endeavors? Because yes, the Olympics is every 4 years. This isn't the first time we've dealing with athletes and substance abuse. We're talking about just the use of marijuana.
Michael Phelps.
Yes, exactly. Michael Phelps is that case, and in his situation, it was different.
Timing.
It was timing. It was timing. So it wasn't the same. He wasn't in the middle of the Olympics. It just ended, and he was a 6-month ban, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was going to be, I forgot the other event that he was moving on to that he did get to participate in. So he did do his time, it is different. But I focus more on the fact that this is an example of our society focusing on the wrong things and not understanding that when it comes to mental health, because we just had a situation with Naomi Osaka when she had to drop out of the Open because she was going through issues and didn't want to show herself in front of the media or have to field a bunch of questions. We need to reevaluate how we treat athletes and what we use as a measure for, what is appropriate or is not appropriate. And that just isn't when it's reactionary. Again, when it pops up, we need to look at it across the board.
I see. Here's the thing. This is why I say it's two separate issues. It's not because I hear what you're saying, and you can't tell somebody how to cope with death. You can't. But the problem is, as much as we may disagree with these Olympic committee's rules,
there's still rules. Yeah.
And she knew that. And the fact that she admitted she knew that is where it becomes the issue. Because
that's why she isn't making a fuss. I get that.
And I think what's really at play is the country wanted to watch her run. She had a large fan base, a large contingent that wanted to see her compete for the gold. And because she's not going to compete, it hits harder. It hits home a little more.
Not just for the country. I mean, for her, she would have been the first American woman to win the Olympic 100 meters since Gail Devers in 1996. Like, she had a chance to make history, and that was stripped from her because she smoked some marijuana, she smoked some weed to cope with the loss of a loved one, someone that we don't know what her relationship is, but regardless of knowing it, it still hits home and hits hard. And yes, and like I said, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not looking at it as, oh well, we need to fight tooth and nail for her, but like it seems like an injustice because it is such an absurd thing to try and grasp. However, I understand what she took the right approach.
Yeah,
she knows, and so she's not fighting
situation.
As a fan base, I as a fan or just as a spectator, I feel validated in saying like this is wrong. This is an egregious offense. I still think it's an egregious offense, even knowing that she knew the rules and these are the rules.
See, I could say it's an egregious offense because of how the rule is set up, but I can't say it's an egregious offense that she's banned even though she knew the rules. That's what I'm.
Do you guys see any reinstatement of her in the Olympics?
They have a chance.
It's a chance, but not for the 100-meter race.
No, she won't be able to make that.
Yeah,
it's
but Manny mentioned in the comments that it's going to follow for the rest of her career. It may follow her, but she's young enough and talented enough where I think this can subside. And because marijuana is not looked at as the gateway drug that it used to be, I don't think it's going to be as bad. And in the next 4 years, especially if she continues to compete at a high level.
Let's hope that she has the ability to compete again for the 400-meter for the 100-meter, because that's not something that is guaranteed, right? For her to come back and have an opportunity again. But I do want to move on to one last piece here, or rather second to last. We have one more after it. But again, with the Olympics, we had the International Swimming Federation rejected a swimming cap that was designed by a Black-owned company for natural Black hair. The name of the company is Soul Cap, and they designed the swimming cap to fit and protect locks, afros, weaves, hair extensions, braids, thick and curly hair. And the reason that the federation ruled against the swimming cap was because to their best knowledge, the athletes competing at the international events neither required to use caps of such size and configuration. They added that the caps deviate from the natural form of the head. On its face, is just, again, this is egregious to me as well. This is a problem I also have where
I agree with you
but that's the rule though. Like this is the rule, and that's what they're sticking to. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it is unfair to base this understanding of what the natural fit of a head is based on white athletes, or predominantly white athletes, where there have not been very, very many Black women swimmers. So can
I just add a tidbit in
hold
there?
on.
Go ahead.
What they're accounting for is based on what they've seen in the past, and there have not been many, very, very many Black women that have swam. So to think that this ruling is based on that, again, it's antiquated, is just wrong on its face. And they had an opportunity to do the right thing here, and they didn't. So what do you want to add?
So the first ever Olympics was in 1896, right? 1896. The first time we ever had Black swimmers on a U.S. team was 2016. So for this particular branch of the Olympics committee to say that it doesn't fit the normal, can you read the exact quote again, please, Steph? I don't want to get it wrong.
I mean, the last part was the natural form of it doesn't fit. It deviates from the natural form of the head.
And that is the issue I have. Whose natural form? Who are they referring to? This does not take into consideration that everybody's hair does not grow the same. My hair and Declan's hair is not growing the same. The same swim cap that may benefit him may not benefit me. So to just outrule it like that on its face is, like you said, egregious to me. It makes no sense. And instead of coming at this from a holistic perspective, they're coming at it looking at like, well, we have this one thing and this is the way it's going to be, and nothing's going to change, even though there's more information out there than there has been in God knows how long, in order for you to do the research and figure out that, hey, this works for these kind of people. Maybe we should, it doesn't enhance, it's not like a competitive advantage. It just works for their hair. And because our hair grows up, their hair grows down. And the original swim caps were made to keep hair out of their face. Steph, you ever try to put on a swim cap, bro? With your fro?
Yes, I have. It didn't work. I was in a salt bath, and I put the swim cap on, and everything got in.
it's a frustrating situation.
Yeah, it is.
When I have my locks, do you know what that was like?
I can only imagine.
But Deck, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of bothers me a little more because it just seems so not progressive or just down with the times. I mean, we're gonna ban swim caps now for an entire race. I mean, let's call it what it is. It may just be one person that we're looking at now, but this is where the reasoning behind the one person being looked at has something to do with that person's race, and it seems like just another dropped ball here, and I hate to see it. And I understand the rule, going back to the marijuana thing, but the rule here is just ridiculous. I
This
mean,
rule could be changed instantly.
and it should be. No, it totally should be. Like I hope that society and social media and everyone following this, the committee, everyone can just kind of get together and hear the voices of the people and be like, yo, guys, this is outrageous. Like, we got to change this. And hopefully they can change it before they start the Olympics this year. Because like Greg said, Olympics are once every 4 years, right? So, I mean, there's not something that 4 years from now we want to see being changed. We got to see this being changed now because it's ridiculous. I mean, we saw the Stroman controversy. That was a comment. Now we're going to imagine if the MLB said, hey, Marcus Stroman and whoever wears a do-rag, like, this comment has brought us to light. Like, okay, you guys can't wear do-rags now. Now that's a completely ostracizing an entire group of people in that sport. And I see this as no different in the Olympics for black swimmers.
I mean, Anthony Mullen said it best. I don't say that too often, but he said they don't care because that's the only way you could come down with a ruling like this.
Of course. But then we're focusing on a minority, right? Why would they care about a minority? There's still few black swimmers in the Olympics, so they're not going to make any rules or make any amendments to consider that, like, what a black swimmer goes through. And that's the frustrating part. I do have a quote here from another Olympic swimmer, Simone Manuel. I think this is a quote from last year. She says that, I think that my journey in sports of swimming as a black woman has been one with many trials and tribulations. It's very obvious that it's rooted in the thinking that black people can't swim, shouldn't swim, or can't be successful in the sport of swimming. She continued, I've gotten responses like that. I've gotten laughed at when I've told people I swim. Swimming is what I do and I love. I'm not going to let someone stand in my way, and that's just one quote. But I believe when you hear a ruling like that, a verdict like that they're not going to be allowed to use these specific swim caps, you have to think about the now black swimmers that aren't being considered. When they hear that I have to abide by something that does not fit me as a person, makes me feel uncomfortable as I'm swimming. Now they're at a disadvantage. You know what I mean? And we said it already. I'll say it again. This is the Olympics not caring enough because it is a minority. And this is something that needs to change. Just like the ruling for Sha'Carri Richardson. This is something that can and should be changed. And it's unfortunate that every time it happens, it's reactionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sick and tired of, we had an issue. Someone had to hurt. Someone had to lose something, right? In order for us to do better the next time. Let's just get it right beforehand so we don't have to worry about next time, because these athletes don't deserve this. They worked their entire lives in some cases to get to this point.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not reactionary enough if the Olympics committee doesn't react itself and listen to it.
I mean, I agree. I mean, this is something that, it's going to happen. I believe it will happen, but these situations tend to be reactionary is what I'm saying by that.
No, you're totally right. I was just building up a point of that. Like, hey, it needs to be even more because it's just stupid. And it's annoying at this point because I feel like there's always an infraction. Whenever we take one step forward, I feel like there's always taking 2 steps back. And it's stupid stuff like this.
Several steps back.
Always
in some
getting
cases.
away. And it's unbearable to a certain extent.
There's always a lot of talk about America and its racial issues, but it's not the only place in the world. Europe is rooted in it as well.
Issues.
IOC has their issues. So it's something that we're going to be fighting for a while, and just got to put 10 toes down and keep fighting.
Very true. But with that, I just want to thank everyone for staying with us and enjoying the show. We had a lot to say today, a lot of excitement. I do want to remind you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all Hit List content on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. Our handle is Sports Eggshell. Again, that's Sports Eggshell. Coming up on Monday, you have us again. You're going to have Smoke and Mirrors, 1 to 2. You already knew that, though. And then at 7:30, you're going to have Off the Top Rope with the Pro Wrestling Crew. Wednesday is going to be the live show, the main show, at 6 p.m. since they have the summer hours. And we'll be back again on Friday. Same time as always. And I do want to shout out us, right? The Sports Hit List, because we're doing our thing. And the fan page has reached 5,700 likes, which is no small feat. So, and that's thanks to y'all, people like you at home that share, like, and subscribe, like I just said. So we appreciate you. thank you for taking the time, listening to us, and enjoying what we do. But I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside Declan Krogman, Greg Polius, and we'll see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Take care.